Just a quick review of the Knee and Shoulder Handbook. Subtitle, The Keys to a Pain-Free Active Life. Sounds good to me. Basically, the book's divided up into 4 parts. I'll go over each briefly just to let you know what's in the book. Part 1 is Injuries in Children. Part 2 is titled The Knee. Here it goes over a lot of common knee conditions, such as ACL tears, osteoarthritis, kneecap pain and dislocations, loose bodies, knee replacements. Some of the things they talk about. Part 3 is the shoulder. Talks about frozen shoulder, shoulder instability, rotator cuff tears, acromioclavicular joint problems, and clavicle fractures. Part 4 is sports tumors, general injury prevention, and bone health. And the book ends with a special section called Why Am I in Pain? And they also has dead last, there's a bunch of these appendices. Has like an appendix on knee anatomy and shoulder anatomy, for instance. So yeah, a lot of information. I think this is a good book if you want to know about a lot of different knee problems you can have and shoulder problems you can have. The only problem I have with a book like this is that you're never going to have all these problems. So you're going to get actually more information than you need, and you're going to get a lot of stuff you'll never use. So that would be the only negative about a book like this that just lists a lot of condition. For instance, with your shoulder, you're not going to have a clavicle fracture, a rotator cuff tear, and shoulder instability, all at the same time. Maybe over time you might accumulate those, or like say with the knee, you may tear your ACL, but you might not necessarily dislocate your knee or have osteoarthritis in your knee, so or loose bodies floating around. So you're going to read about a lot of stuff that you may never need. I guess that's my only concern with a book like this. But if you're really looking for a book that has a lot of information about all the general most common types of knee and shoulder problems, I mean, this is really a good resource. If you're looking for more specific books, like to say you have a rotator cuff problem, then go for a specific book on that as opposed to a general book like this. One resource for that, for instance, the kind of book I'm talking about is like this one, the 6-Minute Rotator Cuff Solution for Seniors. Basically, you can kind of ignore the seniors part because anybody with a rotator cuff problem can benefit from this book. Go over this one briefly too. Basically, talks about what the rotator cuff is. It's the main stabilizer of your shoulder. Goes over answers you need to know. For instance, like what are the shoulder symptoms of a rotator cuff tear? Any arm maneuvers that can show you that you might definitely be your rotator cuff that's giving you the problems. Where does the cuff tear at? Other things like, let's see, are there different kinds of rotator cuff tears? I have a rotator cuff tear, I'm in a lot of pain. I need surgery, right? Well, not necessarily. The book is heavily evidence-based. Each of these boxes is a study that supports the information you're reading. Does having a torn rotator cuff set me up for getting shoulder arthritis? What will happen if I just leave my tear cuff alone, rotator cuff tear alone? Well, the only way you'd know that is if you looked at all the studies where, let's say they take 100 people with rotator cuff tears and they will follow them for like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. What happens to them over time? This guy's gone through over all the studies, and they'll let you know what'll happen, if I let it go. Will it get better on its own? How does exercise compare to surgery when it comes to treating a rotator cuff? The only way you're going to know that is if you look at a randomized controlled trial. Basically, that's the best type of study in medicine to prove that something's effective. So you take 100 people and 50 you'd randomly, 100 people, for instance, you randomly assign them to either have surgery or do an exercise program, and you follow them for like a year or two. Which ones do better? And come to find out, exercise actually will get you the same place as surgery. So whether you have surgery for your tear or whether you just do a conservative exercise program, you're going to end up at the same place. That's according to many, many randomized controlled trials. To that end, the book ends with a good exercise program. Take you about less than 10 minutes a day to do. Some days even less than that. I'd say actually the 6-minute thing, it really does take you 6 minutes to do. Really good evidence-based program. It also has 3 different levels. So for instance, if you have a bad rotator cuff tear, you just tore it, there's a beginning program. If you have a tear and if it's chronic, just bothers you now and then, they have an advanced program. So whatever level you're at, beginning, intermediate, advanced, they have a different level for you of exercise. You can progress through them. So this is what I'm talking about, a specific book for a specific problem. So you have a torn rotator cuff problem, you get all this information. Book like this, if you tore your rotator cuff, you wouldn't necessarily run to a book like this because because you'd learn about a lot of other conditions. But that's not really, I guess, why you'd really go for a book like this. Check this book out if you want to know about a lot of knee and shoulder conditions. A really good resource for that. So yeah, definitely check it out.